Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in day 3 of the 2-4 emotional sequence. So, as always, we're going to come down here and we're going to talk about the polarity moments first. And when we look at this graph, this is the large graph. So, it's the 6.5 day graph. We've already been through 2 days and we've already been through some electromagnetic agitation. So, when two awarenesses connect, there's always going to be some turbulence. So, day 1 and day 2 were a little bit more bumpy than day 3. Day 3 is actually going to be the smoothest day as far as electromagnetic agitations go. When these agitations happen, so when they start to shoot up higher and higher on these graphs, what it's doing is it's irritating us both at the first person level and it's causing irritations at the third person level. And these planned agitations are just trying to get you to be fooled into arguing your perspective and causing more conflict instead of listening and refining and cooperating. So it's very important you know when these moments are so you don't get yourself caught up in making things tougher for you. When you react defensively, all it does is it stops you from being balanced in relationship, and that stops you from actually achieving the objective of this simulated reality. The objective of this reality is to balance these 8 perspectives perfectly. If you can balance all 8 of these perspectives at the first and third person level, it doesn't matter what test is coming, you're not going to hurt. Now, if you're unbalanced with any of these perspectives, we've aligned them with the quadrant of the body that you're going to feel. So if you're doing poorly with mother relationships or your relationship with your nation and how you contribute to it, expect left upper quadrant pain. That's how this works. Now, this is the 6.5 day sequence, and we've talked about this. It's pretty consistent here. So we really need to, as individuals, be working on all 8 of these in this 2-4 sequence because there's really not one that's less than another, all right? So the good news here is it's pretty steady in all quadrants, meaning there shouldn't be one quadrant that's overly imbalanced. We're going to get to that in just a minute when we get into the dialed in 24 here. Let's move on. So next thing we're going to do is talk about the actual 24-hour blown up segment. And what we've done here is we've created 24 time offsets so that no matter what time zone you're in, you just come in here and you find your offset. So as normal, we're going to go down to the bottom here, and what we're looking for, I'm in the Eastern time zone. So we're going to come up here. This is -5. It's going to cycle to -4, which is the Eastern time zone. And then I'd want to take a screenshot of this when it's got -4 up here for my time zone. And what that does is it's aligning these times so that when you open this picture up, you can see where the alignments are going to happen in your time zone, when your time zone is going to experience these electromagnetic fluctuations. Now, so for this time zone, -3, you can see at 9 a.m., that's when they're going to have most of their combined electromagnetic agitation. This is going to change versus the time zone. That's why this is so important. The other reason we do this is because we want you to have the availability to see when in the day it's likely that you're going to become defensive. We're trying to help you stay as calm as possible because that's how we end up doing so well in the objective. Now, let's get down here to the objective part. You can see now that we're looking at this that left low shoulder is definitely a little bit higher than the rest of them. So in this next 24-hour period, upper left quadrant relationships, if you're having problems at all, you're going to want to do a little refinement, a little research. You're going to want to talk to people about different ways to look at these relationships and develop them. That's the only way things are getting better. If you hang on to the way that you're currently doing those relationships when you're not feeling well, you're going to get more not feeling well in the future because nothing changes. These are the only 8 relational aspects we're tested on. And the only thing that stops us from doing this is our defensive reactions. So when you know you're going to be defensive, it stops you from making mistakes in your relationship. But for this 24-hour segment, it's kind of important to know that upper left is being tested a little heavier. So you might want to put just a little bit more attention to these. That's how I would look at this graph. But in all reality, they're all at decent levels here. Okay, so that's how you're going to get your own snapshot of this guide for yourself. You just find your offset, take the snapshot. All right, so now let's go back and let's talk about the alignments. So we've got quite a few alignments in this 24-hour segment, but as you can see, the durations of these alignments are not that long. And the duration is just the amount of hours that they're going to hand. And an alignment is when two hands of the clock align. So it'd be like when the hour hand and the minute hand align, or when the second hand and the hour hand align. That's what we're showing you here, okay? Now, you can see here that none of these, like I said, are very long. They're kind of short lines, and there's a few of them that get up into the stronger range. So the weaker alignments are positioned at the bottom, the strongest alignments are positioned at the top, and that's how we're going to do this. So the first one we're looking for is the EE on the space side. So if we come over here and we find the EE and we slide over, there it is. That's the blue one, that's the EE, that's the hour-and-a-half frequency right here. So once you have your time zone, you can see when this is going to happen. You can eye it up, and this exact frequency or this alignment is going to test the upper left quadrant, okay? So you can see there's another alignment here, a purple one that overlaps with it on the time side. That's this guy right here, this EE. This alignment is going to amplify and affect right shoulder. So if you have right shoulder pain during these time frames that are coinciding with this alignment, that's a direct hit. The alignment would tell us that you're not doing so good in that relationship if you feel it more during that time, and that would be something we'd want to document and something we'd want to work on, because that, again, these relationships just continually are tested again and again. All right, so let's move up the graph here. Now we're going to move up to the ME, okay? That's where this one is. So 1.25, that's that blue one right here. This is going to affect left lower quadrant. This is where it's positioned on the chart. So when you have your time field, you'll be able to see about what time that's coming. So if things go up, expect more on the left lower quadrant. All right, so you can see there's another one on top of it here. There's a purple one and a blue one right on top of each other. That's the ME on this side. That purple alignment, or that time alignment, is going to affect the upper left quadrant. We've got one left to find here, and it's the strongest on the chart. It's this guy right here, the ME. Here it is, the ME. This one's going to affect both the left and right lower quadrant. It's going to go on for an hour. All right, so now that we're done with the alignment section of this, let's head on down here, and the last thing we have to do is just look at the position of the macros. So the macros are the 6 strongest frequencies, and so the strongest of the strong frequencies are the M's. These are the year frequencies. They're not going anywhere for the entire year, so low back stuff this year is going to be very probable for people. And then depending on if it's on the right or left side is going to tell you if you're having trouble with first or third person perspectives. The small m frequency is the next strongest. And this is still parked in the left lower in the first person, and it's parked in the left upper in the third person. And this is going to be here for about another day. This is actually going to change out during this sequence. All right, E is the next strongest frequency. This is the 6.5 day frequency. In first person, it's in the upper left, and in third person, it's in the upper right. And then we've got our P frequencies. And if you don't remember this, we introduced this yesterday. So why are there P1s and P2s? Because the P frequencies are only 12 hours long. So P1 relates to what's going to happen in the first sequence. So there's a P1 here and a P1 here. That's what's going to be tested in the first 12 hours. Then there's a P2 and a P2. That's what's going to be tested in the second 12 hours of the sequence. So you can see that the P1 and P2 increase on the right low back, and the P1 and the P2 in the third person increase in the upper left shoulder. So if you have upper left shoulder problems, we can say third person perspectives need refinement. And if we notice more down here in the low back, that's going to indicate that we need some first person refinement in this relational perspective. All right, that's enough for today. See you tomorrow.